Friday, everybody. You know, when you hear that music, it is time to bring in my old partner, Bud Poliquin. It is Brunch with Bud. We usually do this on Tuesdays, but we have moved it over this week to Fridays. We'll be back in our normal Tuesday spot next week. It is brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where there's always love at first slice. Tony and his folks at Cam's, I don't know if you saw it, Boy Green, they've got the Halloween pizza. It's the pumpkin, the shape of a pumpkin. They make a pizza in the shape of like a giant jack-o'-lantern, even with the little stem sticking out. It's very, very attractive. It has like a little like Fudgy the Whale kind of face on it as well. So it's pretty cute. If you want to find it and throw a picture up, I see Boy Green's already scrambling to find a picture of the Halloween pizza, but he does it every year. You can check that out at Cam's as you get ready for your Halloween party. It's always kind of cool to have some theming in your Halloween party, so why not have it be one of those Cam's jack-o'-lantern style pizzas? So those are on sale as we speak, always in the month of October at Cam's. And Tony's probably got pumpkin stuff too, like everybody. Pumpkin, we're at the pumpkin.
Yes.
There it is, all right? 28 slices. It's a gigantic jack-o'-lantern. So go ahead and get it. Tony's been doing this for years. You see the pepperoni there. It looks like he's got some olives for the eyes, but it is a delicious pizza nonetheless. I don't know how they cook a pizza that's shaped that way. That is not an easy thing to do, to get it to come out of the oven. Looking like that, you know, and it is pretty big, 28 slices. So spare no expense. Go see our friends at Cam's. You see the website right there, camspizza.com. All right, without further ado, let's bring him in, my long-term partner, Bud Poliquin. What's up, Bud? How are you?
Gentlemen, I'm fine. How are you on this beautiful afternoon here in central New York?
Kind of feels like fall these days, doesn't it?
Oh, boy, doesn't it?
Get a little nippy.
Well, from 82 to what, 42 in 48 hours, something like that?
So did you have you already winterized the paddleboard, you know, deflated it,
No,
put
it's
it in the old garage, and that's the end of that?
I've collected it. It's in.
Oh, well. Sad times, Bud. Sad times.
Very
But there'll be another season. There'll be another season.
Very sad indeed.
Well, speaking of sad, I think we're going to start the broadcast today with some sad news, and it happened earlier this week, but I definitely wanted to talk to you about it, and that was the passing of Lawrence Moten, a longtime Syracuse basketball great. Played a little bit in the NBA as well, played some overseas, but had really become kind of a community member here in central New York, spending a lot of his life here in central New York and in the greater Syracuse area. I know when he passed earlier this week, he was down in Washington, D.C., which is where he is from, but Lawrence spent a good amount of his time here in Syracuse. Let's talk about your memories of Lawrence Moten.
You know, people ask me all the time, who my favorite basketball player was here or is here in Syracuse. And I always take that as, what did I like both on and off the court? And how did I like dealing with him when I would be talking with whoever it was? And everybody usually defaults to the usual Dwayne Washington, Jerry McNamara, people like that. And the two guys who I most enjoyed, one was Jason Hart. I just liked the way he played, and I liked the way he conducted himself. And the other one was Lawrence Moten, and I liked the way he played and the way he conducted himself. Lawrence, of course, is the all-time leading scorer. Will probably be that for a long, long time, because to be a leading overall career scorer pretty much means you have to be good, and you have to stay for 3 and 4 years. I don't think anybody good enough to score that many points will stay anywhere for 3 and 4 years. So I think Moten is probably going to end up the all-time leading scorer. But so it's easy to like a guy who scores a lot of points. But beyond that, I just like he had about him a sense of elegance, if I dare say. He looked cool and collected and regal almost on the floor, and he conducted himself the same way. That doesn't mean he was obnoxious. It doesn't mean he was full of himself. It just means that he carried himself with a grace with me, with us, when the camera was on, when the microphones were on him. I don't know what he was like when he went home. I don't know that he'd be anything different. But I'm talking about the guy I saw on the floor, the guy I dealt with in the locker room, the guy I'd bump into periodically here or there. A man of grace and a man of, dare I say, regal qualities. And so he died way too early, and he left behind that memory in my mind.
So Bud, let me continue off that because, when I moved here to Central New York in 2008, I got to run into Lawrence Moten a lot because we've done a lot of events together, whether it's at the radio station or what have you. And the nickname Poetry and Moten. What can you speak to that as someone who didn't get to see it in the flesh outside of highlight reels and pictures and articles and things of that nature? How would you describe Poetry and Moten?
Well, something that sounds like a setup, and folks, it's just not a setup. But I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to have Lawrence Moten answer that question for you. Because I wrote a little compilation book some time ago. And one of the many chapters is on Lawrence Moten. And here's how he described the way he played basketball. This is Lawrence Moten, not me. The game is 90% mental and 10% physical. My main thing was always to be an anticipator, to be in the right place at the right time. I've always been able to see things before they happen. It's called a knack. Some guys have it and some guys don't. And I've been blessed to have it. I just tried to blend everything I had together. I tried to mix the old school with some of the new millennium stuff. Now that's him. Here's Poliquin. Here's what I thought of the guy.
Yeah.
Lawrence Moten, who almost never breathed heavily and seemed rarely to sweat a drop, was a fascination. He had a push shot out of a grainy reel as opposed to a classic jumper. He always possessed more stealth than sinew, and he delighted in the idea that he was a kind of on-the-court sanitation engineer, cleaning up the messes made by others. Efficient is what he was. Think of Ichiro, the baseball player, and you have Moten, the basketball player. So there you go. That's Moten, Moten and Poliquin describing Moten. And both, I think, paint a pretty good picture of the guy.
And that is, by the way, from the book Tales from the Syracuse Hardwood, written by my partner.
No need for a plug. No need for a plug.
And could you still get that like at secondhand bookstores? Like I know it's probably not on Amazon these days, but could you still get it at like a secondhand bookstore? I could go to one of those places in a little village somewhere and then, hey, there it is. Look, an autographed copy, Love.
Find the dollar bin. Find the dollar bin in your local bookstore, and you may find a dusty old copy at the bottom of the dollar bin. I don't know.
Somebody watching this video wants a copy of that book.
There you go.
It up there, Boy Green. That's the way to do it. All right. With the photo by Leo Routens, the legendary Syracuse player. Like, do you still have any extra copies floating around, Bud? If somebody, comes and knocking on my door.
I do have extra copies. Yes.
All right. There you go. All right. So if you want one, it might be doable. It might be doable. It is a collection of stories, as you see, from Syracuse basketball. You wrote it in, do you know the year, Bud? What year you wrote that book? I'm going to say.
Well, it was after, it goes back a while now. It was after the 2004 national championship team, 2003 national championship. So I wrote it in 03. It came out probably in, I think it came out Christmas time in 04, in 03.
Okay. So Christmas time, 03. All right.
Yeah, I have it here, actually. It was first published on September 5th, 2003.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, in time for almost Labor Day.
By the way,
I'll give you one more. Yes, go ahead.
Before you give a story, just to say, it's currently available on eBay. There are hardcover copies still available. Yeah, look it up right now. It's on eBay.com.
We can hook you up with one if you.
Or maybe, yeah.
Or that. Now here, just one more little small paragraph, because everybody knows him with the socks. He always wore the high socks. He always looked like wearing a tuxedo almost on a court. This is, again, Moten talking. Where I'm from, people just naturally wear their socks high. It's something I started doing in the 4th or 5th grade. People roll with it. I roll with it. If I don't have my socks up, it's like Superman without his cape. So that's Lawrence Moten talking about his sartorial choices as a basketball player.
Which Lerch, we did an interview with Lawrence Moten, year ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, somewhere in that range. And I remember I was taking pictures of you guys all in the studio. We were exchanging question opportunities. I was trying to take photos, and we try to do that when we have guests in the studio. And I remember you guys talking about those socks. Yeah,
that was a signature. As a matter of fact, for his senior year, the cover of the Syracuse University basketball media guide. The cover was just two legs from the knees to the sneakers. That's all it was. And it was an actual photograph. And the two legs, of course, belong to Moten with the high socks. There is no reference of, hey, Lawrence Moten with high socks. It was just two legs, high socks, sneakers. Everybody in town, at least everybody in the media, certainly knew who that was.
Yeah, it was a trademark, and he enjoyed it. And yeah, I asked him that question because I had worn my socks high to a kickball tournament, and I said, yeah. And then someone said, "What's with the high socks?" I said, "Lawrence Moten, baby. What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Like, come on. It's an ode. Go. It's an ode to arguably one of the greatest Syracuse players, not arguably, and one of the greatest Syracuse players in the history of Syracuse basketball. Yeah, there he is. Look at those socks, baby, right up to the knee. Fantastic. And like Bud said, he just dressed the part very, very well. Like he just was. Regal is a great way, distinguished. He just, it's tucked. It's everything's tight.
He was a funny, interesting fella in that he played real hard. Don't get me wrong, but he was almost in this. I'm going to go way back with this reference, but he was almost like John Havlicek of the Boston Celtics back in the day. Havlicek never seemed to sweat, and Lawrence Moten never seemed to sweat. He would be out there playing. He played, 35, 40 minutes a night. Working hard, doing everything he could do, offense, defense, on the boards. I don't know that I ever really saw him sweating or panting. The guy was sort of a robotish sort of a guy. And, he never did the nonsense, look at me, look what I just did. Walter Payton, the football player, used to give the football to the referee in the end zone after he scored a touchdown and just walked off. And that's how Lawrence Moten was. He was the basketball equivalent of just give the guy, the referee, the ball in the end zone and walk away. He never seemingly gave any lip to anybody. Just played and went home. And there's that picture. So I lied. It's a little more than just the socks and the shoes, but you get the idea. And that's autographed by him. That is not what was on the
right. That's custom, obviously. But look at that. High socks and high hopes in 1994, 1995. That's awesome.
No suggestion as to who it was, but if anybody had to ask who was that was not a Syracuse basketball fan.
Yeah. Well, and then, go back to that interview for a minute. That was such an enjoyable interview. Like, he was just so nice. And it was such a nice conversation.
Very reflective.
Have a lot of those these days. Everybody's so guarded. Everybody's so, scared you're going to ask them some question that they weren't expecting or something. Yeah, he was chill. It was great. It was really, really, really enjoyable. So
a big loss to this community.
Big time. And speaking of that, Bud, I don't want to go past this opportunity to also talk about Arthur Jones, the former Syracuse football player who's even much younger than Moten, only in his late 30s. 39 years old. He's the brother of Johnny Bones Jones, the UFC fighter who a lot of people would know his name, and the brother of Chandler Jones, who had some big-time moments in the NFL and also played on the Syracuse football team. Arthur was almost like the quietest of the three, but there was this quiet charm about him that people remember. And I met him many, many times. I've interviewed him a bunch of times. I always thought he was a really fascinating guy. But give us a little bit, if you can, on your memories of Arthur Jones.
Well, the thing that I always had a hard time reconciling. My wife and I have two kids. They're grown up now, a boy and a girl. That's it. In the Jones household, you had these three guys, all big, all strong, all with, I'm sure, huge appetites. And how you kept peace in that house? Between the goodness. I'm not saying actual fighting out of hatred, but the rambunctious thing that goes with brothers. And to think of those three of them, Arthur, Chandler, John, rambling around the house, fighting over that last biscuit at the dinner table, how they kept any kind of real domestic tranquility in the Jones household is a thing that always did amaze me. And you're right. In no way am I suggesting there was mayhem, and there's no way Arthur was the starter of the mayhem.
Yeah, definitely.
But the brotherly thing had to have spilled over in a lot of different ways in that household. And when I think Arthur Jones, I do think of the personality, and I also think of, wow, what an array of brothers, and how many households have churned out 3 professional athletes, 3 successful professional athletes. I know, you have the Molinas, and there are people out there. We could talk about them, but we're talking about the Jones boys, and Arthur is gone. The other 2 are still with us, and again, like Lawrence Moten, the Jones boys, obviously Arthur included, gave us a lot of things to think about and smile about and all that. Now, I'm not a big martial arts guy. The fighting thing is not my thing, but you have to admit he was pretty darn good at that. That would be John, of course.
Yeah, let me fill in just to say this. There is a case to be made as the resident MMA guy of this group that he's the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. Right. So he's considered in that realm. Arthur Jones won a Super Bowl. Chandler Jones won a Super Bowl. So, like, I mean, what a family.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal, celebrated, and successful, as you just pointed out. You don't get more out of football than winning the Super Bowl. You don't get more out of an individual sport than being called perhaps the greatest to do that individual sport.
Yeah.
So again, it's a marvel that these folks these 3 guys came out of the same household. A marvel.
And let me go back to you, Lerch, because I don't know if you've ever told this story on air before, but like speaking of the appetite of the Jones family household, you had a run-in with Arthur Jones, Lerch.
I did. It was, and it was 6 months ago. In the summertime, I do a little door dashing. I'm a DoorDash delivery guy sometimes during the summer just to make a couple extra bucks, and I love to be outside and driving around. And so I picked up an order one day, and the name on the order, I never thought anything of it, was at this wonderful health food place where they make these healthy shakes where you get like the kale in there and the carrots, and then, they mix it up with some other things that I guess make it taste pretty good. And it was a couple of big, large shakes that were made of all these great nutrients, and that was it. It was just 2 shakes. And the delivery was all the way out in Fayetteville, New York. And I picked this thing up in like North Syracuse. So just to give people who might not know the distance factor, we're talking about a 25, 30-minute drive, a little bit of highway and then some side roads, and then you make your way there. But the order said just said A. Jones. You got to think anything of that? I mean, definitely even though I covered the guy, I'm not thinking of anything. And so I drive out to Fayetteville, and it was on the backside of the Fayetteville Mall. And it was some kind of gym or something, and it was like a back door to it, and it had specific instructions, go there. And I get there, and no one's at the door. And this is a Saturday morning, so there's not anybody really around. So you have the ability in the app to text or to call the person. So I text real quick, and I say, hey, I'm at the door, just waiting for you. And the person comes back and says, be right there. Okay. So I get out of the car, and I'm standing at the door with my 2 shakes in my hand waiting. And this big guy comes to the door, and I look up, and I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, who is this? And it's A. Jones. Oh my God, it's Arthur. And I was like, hi, Arthur. He's like, hi. I said, oh, you might not remember me. I used to cover you for the football team. I think you're great, though. So here's your shakes, and have a nice day. And I don't remember we just chit chatted. It was a very, very nice, pleasant conversation. He said, hey, I really appreciate you bringing it all the way down here to me. And I said, yeah, it was quite the trip, but thank you. Appreciate the tip. And off I went. He gave a very nice tip.
I was just about to say, was he a good tipper, Lerch?
He was an excellent tipper.
Okay.
And off I went. And it was funny. I called a buddy right on, my way out of that delivery. And I was like, you're not going to believe this. I was just doing a delivery. And of all people, A. Jones, it never stuck in my head. That's such a common name, right? Yeah. And it was Arthur. It was Arthur Jones. So that was the last time I saw Arthur. And he was very nice and very kind. And he was always that way with me when I covered him in the media, when he was on the football team. There was just a nice, gentle giantness about him. He was a big, big guy, but there was a nice, gentle giantness about him.
Well, he had all that going for him. Plus, he had an outstanding first name. Arthur is one of the classic, great,
like that name, huh?
Wonderful names.
Yeah.
Only the cool people are named Arthur.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Someone named Arthur Albert Anthony Poliquin III. Some people are named
his first name too. You didn't pick up on that, Boy Green. You didn't pick up on that, huh?
Yeah. He laid that on pretty thick.
Yeah,
pretty thick.
All right, boys. Moving right along.
Let's talk about some less depressing news, dare I say, in some way, shape, or form. So Syracuse football is in some peril lately. Ricky Collins has stepped in Steve Angeli's absence, and it hasn't gone incredibly smoothly. Their latest beatdown was at the hands of SMU. And now Syracuse is actually in a bye week this weekend, so they don't have to play any football. Give me a take about where things stand with the program. Do you remain impressed with Fran Brown and impressed with everything this program has done here in the year and a half, 2 years now that Brown's been in charge?
Well, it didn't take an oracle to say what I had said before the season began, that if Brown can steer this club to a 6-6 record this year, that would be a better job than last year's 10-3, based solely on the record and the idea that the transition and the NIL and the portal and all the nonsense that is involved in college football. If this guy could recreate, rebuild a team. There are no programs anymore. They're just year-to-year teams. Programs, that is a passé term. It's kind of like eligibility, passé term, okay? So for Fran Brown to go 6-6 with a new team against the schedule he had, I thought would be a better job than the previous year in terms of wins and losses, in terms of accomplishment. And right now he's right where I thought he'd be. They're 3-3. They won a game they probably had no business winning, we thought, going into the season. That's Clemson. And they lost to a Duke team that I thought was unremarkable. So they gave away a big win, but they overcame a bad loss by coming away with a big win. 3-3 projects to be my 6-6. So what do I think? I think so far so good in terms of my prognostication abilities. They are no more or no less than I thought they'd be, except they showed a real nice flash at Clemson and showed an ability to lay an egg, against Duke. Going forward, I don't think there's any chance to win at Notre Dame. I don't think there's any chance to win at Miami. So that means they've got to win only one of the other 4 games. What's the math here? 3-3, they play 12. Whatever. To get to where they need to go, they're going to have to win 3
of 6
of the 6.
Correct.
And they're going to lose 2 of the 6 in my mind. That means they got to do fairly good work to win 3 out of those other 4. We'll see. So the answer is, I'm neutral. I'm neither plus nor minus on what he's done so far and how it rates to last year. The last half of the season, obviously, is going to tell the story.
So is the Clemson win for you, road win, the first time they've ever won in Death Valley, just a fluke? Because you would think that could possibly open up the opportunity for some of those impossible games you put on the schedule there that you're like, well, clearly they're losing this. A lot of people would have said that about the Clemson game too.
The Clemson Tigers have shown this year so far, I think, and I'm not the only one, that there's something amiss down there. They have more people returning from last year than any team, among the big boys, as I understand it. And the people who've come back were considered really prime players, solid prime beef players. And yet, look where they're at. They're unimpressive. They're unremarkable. They're mediocre. They're just another team. Did Syracuse help push them there, or were they never what they were projected to be? I don't know. We'll have to see where Clemson ends up. But right now, sure, the Syracuse win there is phenomenal. They beat Clemson at Clemson. Wow. And I don't think that should be diminished. But let's see where it ends up. Is Clemson anymore? We'll find out. But right now, I'm not going to take that victory away from Syracuse. But I am going to say it's not nearly what we thought it might have been had they won. At the time they won, I think we thought it was more than maybe it'll prove to be. But we'll see.
Pretty good bridge there to the Yankees. What the Yankees we thought were. They are looking from the sidelines now as they got knocked out of the playoffs this week. Bud, are you shocked, surprised? I don't think you are. And we've talked a lot about the baseball playoffs and how fluky they can be in a lot of ways. So maybe it's no shock to you at all that the Yankees are out. But are you surprised?
I'm not. They could have lost to the Red Sox. They could never have even got out of the best of 3. They did. Good for them. And then they move on and they play, a pretty good club. The best record in the American League anyway. No, I'm not surprised. The one series that would have surprised me is if the Reds somehow knocked off the Dodgers. Other than that, I think any one of these series can go to either team. Baseball is a funky game. I think it's a great game. I think the skill needed to play the game, makes them on a level higher than the other games. I'm not talking about the athleticism. I'm not talking about the size, the strength, whatever. The skills needed to play offense and defense in baseball is off the charts. None of us could even imagine succeeding for a moment, on a baseball field against big league people. That means, though, that it's who performs on the day, whose pitcher is on. Last night, if you saw the play in the Dodger game, that play was baseball. It was a fluke. It was a moment, but it decides the game, decides the series, and may produce the World Series winner on a goofy 40-foot dribbler that the pitcher panicked on. And just like that, it's over. So that doesn't often happen in the other sports. So no, it does not surprise me. Although the Yankees and the Yankee fans are surely surprised because everybody thinks the Yankees are unconquerable. And that game, it's like golf, Jimmy boy. Just when you think you got golf licked, it comes up and bites you in the keister. And that's what baseball does even to the major leaguers. It comes up and look at Bryce Harper. He was me out there. He hit as well as I hit, right? That's Bryce Harper. Not that week it wasn't Bryce Harper. He was just a guy. Baseball reduces people. And
Bud,
the Yankees. Yes.
You said you weren't surprised by the Yankees, but I'll ask you this. Did you enjoy it as much as I did seeing them go home, baby?
Dale. The Yankee lose. The Yankee lose. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
I like that. And I like the Blue Jays, too. I like the way the Blue Jays play. The Blue Jays are, dare I say, a little bit old-fashioned in that their intent when they go to the plate is to put the ball in play. I'm going up there to put it in play if I'm a Blue Jay. If I'm a Yankee, by and large, I'm going up there to hit it over the fence. Completely different mindset when they go to the plate. And I much more enjoy when the Blue Jays are at the plate than the Yankees. Because sometimes the Blue Jay player, like Vlad, when he hit that grand slam, I mean, that was one of the greatest swings, resulting in one of the greatest flights of a baseball that you can see. You can't see a better swing and a better majestic flight of the ball. And, he's wasn't up there necessarily to do that. He was up there necessarily to put the ball in play. I'm glad the Yankees are gone because I don't like the Yankees. But I'm even happier that the Blue Jays are advancing because the universe has finally said, let's let a baseball team that plays baseball rather than a baseball team that plays home run derby advance and move on. I mean, win and advance.
All right, today's broadcast brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about our friends from Cam's.
When you think of Camp's Pizzeria, think about two of your favorites, their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
All right, we are back. It is Brunch with Bud, and just talking a little bit about the baseball playoffs and the Yankees being eliminated. So now that the Yankees have been eliminated, Bud, who's winning this whole thing?
Well, I had said, as you folks may remember, I thought it was going to be the Mariners against the Dodgers. I don't think anybody's going to beat the – I'll just go against everything I just said. The best team in the National League has been the Dodgers all along, in my estimation. Therefore, if the best team is destined to win, then the Dodgers are going to win. On the other side, I picked the Mariners, but they're in big trouble because even though they're going home for Game 5 tonight, they're going up against Skubal, and wow, he's the best player in the world, the best pitcher in the world, and the Mariners are going to have to beat the best pitcher in the world if they want to move on. So I think I'm going to go with Tigers over there because of Scooble, not to go to the series necessarily, but to win this game tonight in advance. And then if it's Toronto against Detroit, I'm going to take Toronto. And it's going to be Toronto versus the Dodgers. And that'll be cool from the Toronto point of view if they win, because Toronto is not just – they don't have just fans in Toronto or Ontario. That is a national team. Everybody in Canada, more or less, is a Blue Jays fan. And everybody in Canada, more or less, knows who they are and will be watching those games. The Blue Jays are cool because of the way they play, and they're cool because they are a nation's team. You know, the Cowboys used to say we're America's team. Nonsense. When the Blue Jays say we're Canada's team, no argument. They're Canada's team.
Bud, what do you think in terms of which, whatever the possibilities are with all these different World Series, which one would you prefer if you got to be the puppet master behind the scenes and you could pluck who the two teams are that playing in the World Series that would give us the most compelling storylines or be the most entertaining baseball? Who would it be and why?
Well, I would say, and I'm going to be a homer here, I would say the Blue Jays, for reasons I just explained, how I like the way they play. And I like the idea that it's a national thing, and isn't that cool? And I'd like to see him play against the Brewers, because the Brewers are kind of like the Blue Jays in that their thing is, let's put the ball in play, let's run the bases, let's play baseball. They bunt, they steal, they play defense, they occasionally hit home runs, but they are a baseball team run by a baseball man from Eastwood and CBA. So I kind of think it'd be cool for us locally if Pat Murphy, the local guy who somehow made it out of Eastwood, New York, to the cusp of the World Series, actually got into the World Series. It's going to be a tough go, though, because they have to go through the Dodgers and Shohei. And, think about, how do you like the pitching on Shohei, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts? Boom, boom, boom. That's tough. But you answer the question, I love to see Toronto versus Milwaukee. You'd have two teams playing baseball, and that'd be fun to watch.
So, Bud, did you just say that you're pro bunting? Did I just hear you say that? The man who would not teach his young, aspiring baseball players at the Little League level to bunt. You are saying now you want to watch a team that lays it down. Did I just hear that correctly? What just happened?
Two things can be true at once. I would never have a Little League kid or a high school kid bunt. Never, ever would ever happen on my watch. They don't come out. The parents don't come out to watch Johnny bunt. They come out to swing the bat, learn how to hit. Mom and dad.
You just said bunting is baseball. Let me just
bunting
get that
is baseball.
That's what you just
bunting
said.
Is baseball. Earl Weaver would never agree with this. Earl Weaver said, if they want to give us an out, take it. It's about getting 27 outs. They want to give us an out or two bunting. Please bunt. Please bunt. But I understand that bunting at the professional level, the idea is to win the game, right? What did our football coach say? The idea is to win the game. Dennis Green. Was it Dennis Green? No, Dennis Green. Who said you got to win the game? Is it? No,
you play. You're talking about Herm Edwards. You play to win the game.
Play to win the game.
Herm, forgive me. I'm sorry. Herm Edwards understands what the idea is in the pro level, and bunting helps you win at the pro level. So yes, on the pro level, even though I sort of agree with Earl Weaver, you want to give me an out, I'll take it. Bunting sometimes wins games for you. So yeah.
So I get it now. So this all makes sense. It's all come full circle. All these years of us working together, that all I was trying to do as someone that taught my team how to bunt and steal was to win the games. Well,
that's right.
You were doing something. There you go. That's it.
The last thing on my mind, and I coached Little League right through college summers. The last thing on my mind was, what can I do to help this team win the game?
Imagine this is your coach's philosophy.
Yeah.
You want to play on that team, Boy Green? The team that doesn't play to win. He has not a brain in his body that attempts to truly win the game. Not that his team's going to win the games. Yeah, okay. His job. Go ahead. Somehow phrase this in some kind of Amy way that actually makes sense. Go ahead.
No, I don't know what Bud's going to say. All I know is my coach brought me in, grabbed me by the face mask, and pulled me in close. And I said, yeah, coach.
You know to play. You know why we play this game, Paul.
And he said, winning is the only thing.
Yes.
And I said, yes, coach.
Beautiful.
Yes,
beautiful.
coach.
That's a coach.
There's never There's never anything stupider said, if that's a word, stupider. There's never anything more stupid that's ever been spoken on the amateur level than winning is what this is all about. Here's what it's all about. It's playing correctly and playing respectfully and conducting yourself as if important people were watching you. If you make error, by important people, I mean people who might help you
scouts.
with a summer job, help you, with an internship, help you, maybe give you some do some work at the kitchen table, they'll tutor you, etc. Correctly and respectfully was my job. And I would say to anybody, if you play correctly, if you listen to what I say and play it the way I tell you to play, and if you play respectfully, we're going to win more than we lose. Will we win championships? Probably not. I'll admit that, because I play everybody. Everybody who deserves to play on correctness and grace and all that, you get on the field with me. If you're a star and you're a dog,
everybody gets a trophy, Paul.
But did you just say that your conversation in the preseason when you're rallying the troops, you bring them all close?
Yep.
I'm going to be honest. If you guys are here for a championship, that's probably not going to happen. But and then everything else. Come on.
But I'll tell you what, I was the best. Nobody ever. I didn't have a single problem with a parent or a single problem with a kid, because the good kids knew, the talented kids knew they had to play correctly or they're going to sit. And the bad kid, the less talented kids would say, hey, as long as I play correctly, I'm going to get a chance to play. Mm-hmm. So the good kids were motivated to play correctly because talent alone wasn't going to get you on the field with me. And the lesser kids said, wow, I can drop a fly ball here and there and he's still going to play me? Yeah, so long as you tried to catch the ball.
Oh, great. No accountability. Nice. That's the exact kind of no accountability. Great. That's the kind of coaching and managing. When I fumbled the ball, my coach brought me to the sideline say, "Do you want to play this? Do you want to play this game of football, Paul? Did you ever hold on to the football? Or are you going to be running the bench the rest of the season, you idiot? Now go sit down."
And that's why I don't like football coaches. Okay, but you're not hearing me. You say no accountability. You are very accountable. Play it correctly, or you can't get on the field for me. You got to back up.
How's that playing it correctly?
Well, you got to hit the cutoff man. You got to be aggressive at the plate. You can't keep the bat on your shoulder. You got to back up bases, et cetera, et cetera. You never ever talk back to the umpire. That's my job. Okay, right. So you don't do that. So no. You're very accountable. In fact, you're more accountable than me, because how many times have we seen? We've all played on teams where the best player, the most talented player,
sure,
gets away with stuff. So where's his account?
She's the most talented player. All right. The story you just told about little Johnny saying, "Well, if I drop a few balls, that's okay because I'm going to keep playing." No, little Johnny, you drop the ball, you take a lap, Weezy. Come on, man.
Listen, on Bud's team,
as you grow up, as you get older, and your kids grow up, we'll see if you still believe that. Yes.
On Bud's team, if you Buckner a ground ball, but you somehow have gotten in front of the ball correctly, Paul, you're staying out there, man.
No way.
Johnny, good job. You got in front of it. It just went through your legs. It's just the way it goes. It's okay.
Happy Gilmore, you're kicked off the tour, pal.
Right. I'll give you one quick personal story, just real quick. My kid was always the best player in the team. Okay, he was the catcher.
Nate was very talented. Yes,
he was our best player. No matter what team he's on, he was basically our best player.
All right.
So one day we're playing. It was a summer league game. He was in college, and there's a guy in first, and he's batting, and he hits a 2-hopper to the shortstop. I mean, a bullet. And 3 steps out of the box, the shortstop has flipped the ball to second baseman. The double play is going to happen. He's going to be out by 40 feet because he hit it so hard. It was fielded cleanly, flipped the second baseman. He's out by 40 feet. So as he's going down, he sees this, and he breaks into a little bit of a jog.
This is your player.
My kid, my player. Mm-hmm. Before he gets off the field, I turned to the next kid on the bench. Hey, Joe, whatever it was, get on the gear. You're catching. So he starts putting on the gear. Nathan comes in. He starts to put on the gear. I say, no need. Sit down. You're out. What do you mean I'm out? I said, you're out. You don't want to run the bases. Get out. You're not playing. You didn't hustle on the line. So he was mad at me, and he kind of sulked, and he didn't lip off, but I knew he was mad. We get in the car going home. Guess what he says? Unprompted. Mm-hmm. He says, Pop, you were right. I didn't run. You were right to take me out. That's accountability.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Boy Green, if you could only employ Bud's philosophies in fantasy football, you'd be a much better player, I think. I think you
Maybe.
need to learn how to play
I'm telling you.
correctly and better, and do it the right way.
I'm telling you, if a high school athletic director ever needed a real baseball coach, a guy who's going to do it the right way, here I am.
Got
Give me a
nothing
call.
to do, folks.
I'm available.
As literally applying for jobs right now on our show.
Okay. Glad we can
I'm
provide that
available.
service.
Any
Sure.
Central New York high schools with availability, you've got yourself a baseball coach right here who'll teach them.
That's
Syracuse.com legend, Bud
I'll do it
Poliquin.
for free. You
I'm
don't
not
even
doing
have
any
to
winning,
pay me.
but depend
You
on
don't even
getting
have to
the
pay
game played correctly. That is the
And
way.
here's what I'm going to tell you. We'll win more than we lose, and we won't get one argument from any parent. No parent is going to go to the AD and say this coach is no good. No parent's going to come to me and say you don't know what you're doing. Everybody will play who deserves to play, and we'll win more than we lose.
All right, move over, Joe Namath. Any championship guarantees coming with that pitch there, Bud Poliquin?
None. No championship guarantees whatsoever.
It happens. It happens.
If it happens, it happens. Because to win, ultimately, generally, in any game, talent wins. And sometimes I won't have my most talented guy on the field because he doesn't deserve to be out there based on attitude or performance. Not performance, but
I got you.
The way he goes about his
Morals, ethics, sure. Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
business. There you go.
Or the everyone must participate thing.
No, everyone has an opportunity to
An
participate.
opportunity.
Wow.
It's very
An
well
opportunity.
phrased.
It's up to you what you do with the kids. Okay, nice. All right. There we go.
All right, Arthur. It's been a wonderful romp, as they say here in our brunch with Bud, and we'll be back, I think, on our normal day.
Couple days. Yeah, right.
Tuesday. But what a great weekend feed for everybody. Fantastic. So thanks as always, my friend. We'll see you next week.
All right, boys. Been a delight. Tuesday it is. See you Tuesday.